Thank you and good evening. Let me welcome everyone. I'm sure we are all familiar with the subject of this press briefing, and I've just how many of you are aware of what Bashali is doing? Everybody. Is this necessary, this press briefing? Is necessary?
Yes, sir.
For the records, Abi?
Yes, for the records.
Okay. I'm going to read a press statement. If it doesn't cover what you think it should cover, you can ask me questions after. And I'm willing to take, to provide answers, to those questions. And I've titled this, Bash Ali and his serial blackmail must be confronted and defeated. That's what I've done. And I thank all of you, for responding to this. It's a Sunday. You got this at very short notice and you are here. I'm actually constrained to do this. The only thing for me is that it just takes me through the indignity of having to even have to respond to a matter that is as baseless. So I'm constrained to speak to you, on the trending video, an open petition to Mr. President, wherein Bash Ali, a former world boxing champion, threw caution and decency to the wind to allege that I demanded the sum of another $1 million from him, and not that it's actually in inverted commas, from him in order to endorse his plan to stage what he calls the oldest boxers fight in Nigeria. By the way, Bash Ali appears to be in love with $1 million. When Bash Ali released his video and open letter to the president with the sole aim to defame and to destroy my reputation and integrity, some friends and associates advised that I totally ignore him and his blackmail gambit. They believed that by responding to Bash Ali and his vile campaign of calumny, I would validate and bring him to the limelight. But Bash Ali is already in the limelight, isn't it? After a deep reflection, I have come to the inevitable conclusion that to ignore him would be a profound mistake. My reason for this is twofold. First, the perception in the public domain is that those in the public service are either thieves or kleptomaniacs who mindlessly pillage our commonwealth. This assumption, no matter how widely held, is not true. Despite our challenges as a nation, there are men and women who continue to serve our country with honesty, with integrity, and with patriotism. I am one of such. Secondly, ignoring Bash Ali and his tradition of deploying blackmail and gutter tactics now will further embolden and enable him to continue his usual trajectory even after I have served out my mandate as Minister of Sports without consequences. Gentlemen of the press, you are aware that before I was appointed to the office of Minister of Sports Development, Bash Ali had sought to mindlessly impugn the character and reputation of some of my predecessors in office without any shred of evidence. In my own case, he has exhumed and redeployed this hydra-headed monster and gone overboard because past ministers perhaps treated him and his wild allegations with kid gloves. To simply walk away from this baloney, for me, is not an option. Bash Ali's allegation that I demanded for another $1 million, as if I had received a first tranche of $1 million from him, or perhaps any of my predecessors had done so, is a manufactured lie from the pit of hell. At no point in time did I demand for any form of gratification from Bash Ali. The question to ask are these: $1 million from where? If Bash Ali had $1 million, why has he not staged his fight? His spurious allegation suffers from fatal deformity and is based on the erroneous impression that government in Nigeria is a cash cow at the mercy of public servants to pillage at will. Let me be clear. Bashali desperately wanted to meet me in my very early days as Minister of Sports Development, when I had hardly settled down on the job. In the deluge of his desperate attempts, I decided to meet him against the advice of the staff of the ministry, who were familiar with his character and his antics. Against their advice, I decided to meet him out of respect for his age and based on the open door policy with which I am currently leading the ministry. Conscious of the advice of some key staff of the ministry, I sought to insulate myself and the office from any blackmail that may emanate from this meeting by making sure that my team was present at the meeting. But from what has happened, it does appear that you can never do enough to stop or avoid Bashali's blackmail. I'm sure even if I didn't meet him ever, he will still blackmail me. So, I mean, it's that may emanate from sought to insulate myself and the office from any blackmail that may emanate from this meeting by making sure my team was present at the meeting. He presented the issue of his pet project, and I told him to be patient while I get more briefing from the ministry. All my life, the said meeting is the first and only time I ever met Bashali. There were no follow-ups after that one-off meeting, and I did not introduce any of my aides to him. After the said meeting, I politely refused to meet with him to this day, in spite of his numerous requests and pressures. His incessant messages to me will speak to this desperation. Gentlemen of the press, as you know, Bashali's plan to stage his boxing fight in Nigeria has a long history, spanning almost 2 decades. To achieve this personal aspiration, he has deployed all manner of strategies, including naked blackmail and underhand tactics in his desperate effort to untwist the federal government to spend upwards of $50 million to stage his fight. Successful ministers of sports have rightly told him that his plan to stage this fight is not the responsibility of the government, but a business that should be executed by the private sector. In concluding this statement, gentlemen of the press, I sincerely believe that in spite of our numerous challenges, our country still has a soul. Our humanity will be irretrievably destroyed the day we lose our soul. Bashali's desperate and unprovoked withering attack on me is an attack on decency, on honesty, and on integrity. The move to clear my name has just started, and there will be no let up until I achieve this sacred mission. In addition to other remedies under the ambit of the law, I've instructed my lawyer to write Bash Ali demanding an immediate public retraction of his allegations and to render a public apology. He will have just 1 week to do this. The failure to do this on his part will leave me with no option than to approach the courts to both clear my name and to seek damages. I thank everyone.